Is the transfer window over? Yes. Are there more transfers to report on? Yes, of course there are. It's Chelsea. There's always more transfers to talk about. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sink, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And of course, that means we've got more transfers to talk about, right? So what we're not obviously, a few of these stories and stuff had actually been floating around during the transfer window, but obviously with so much else going on, I didn't really focus on them. But now we've got a little bit of time and stories are starting to emerge a little bit more. We can kind of go into it because what we're talking about is the plan in motion, right? Got to give it to Blueco for this, man. They are always a few steps ahead of the game, right? They've always got their face buried in the next transfer window one way or the other, haven't they? So today we're going to talk about a player that we already have who looks like he might slot really well into the team, a player that we sort of already have that looks like he might be a bit of a baller, and a player that we are desperate to get rid of that actually might still end up going very soon. But guys, before we get into it, if you're enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so let's start off with Giovani Quenda, right? The Portuguese left-footed right winger who we bought from Sporting Lisbon at the same time that we got Dario Asugo. So the idea was to buy him and loan him back out to Sporting for the rest of the season to develop and get game time, and I guess for us to get a better handle on what's going on. Now, left-footed right wingers has been, so we've had lots of left-footed right wingers now, do you know what I mean? Obviously, we've just sold Noni Madueke, we've just brought in Esteval Willian, we've already got Pedro Neto, but we also went out and bought Giovani Quenda, who by all accounts looks like another very young prodigy, the likes of Esteval Willian, albeit Portuguese. So Giovani Quenda scored for Portugal under 21s last night, and it was a great goal, man, and he just looks like a great player. He has been playing in the first team since Ruben Amorim was there as well. He's been in that first team since he was like 17, 18 years old. I think he still might be 18, maybe 19 now. But he just looks really, really, really good. And the interesting thing about this is some fans have literally already been saying, now I'm not one of these, and if you've watched my channel before, you'll know why, that he should just come in and replace Pedro Neto. So for a start, I've got to defend Pedro Neto, man. I think Pedro Neto is an absolutely brilliant player, and he kind of reminds me a bit of Willian. I don't think we're ever going to see crazy numbers from Pedro, right? I don't think Pedro Neto is going to give us like 20 goals or 15 assists a season or anything like that. But what he is a solid player who contributes to the team function really, really, really well. He's very versatile. He can play anywhere across the attacking front three, which we've seen him do on several occasions in each position. He can dep at number 9 if called upon. It's not ideal, but he's got the energy and he'll just do what he's told, right? Which is awesome. He's so professional, and we need that in our team, man. You can't just front load your team with loads of really, really young players without having that guy. Do you know what I mean? That guy that, you know, you can always rely on and will be there to pick up the slack when some of the magic from those said young players isn't exactly prevalent. So don't get me wrong, Giovani Quenda looks absolutely wicked and actually plays a lot on left wing despite being left-footed as well. But the left wing situation also is pretty stacked at the moment, isn't it? At the end of the day, Chelsea went in and bought him for, I think it was like 30, 40 mil or something as well. Do you know what I mean? We spent a lot of money on him when he was really, really young. I think he was still 17 at the time when we bought him. So it's just another one of them, isn't it? It's just another one of them. I really like the look of Giovani Quenda. He is playing a lot. He's getting lots of first-team experience in a very good team. He's playing Champions League football. He's getting a lot of time in the Portugal under-21s. It is going to be difficult to get into that Portugal first team. And do you know who's in the Portugal first team in front of him at the moment? Pedro Neto. Do you know what I mean? So it's just one of those for me. Like, I'm excited about Giovani Quenda, but I think I've only got so much space in my brain to get excited about young left-footed superstars. Do you know what I mean? I'm fully focused on Esteval Willian at the moment because he's the guy in the team. He's doing bits with the Brazil first team as well, which show you how special he is. But at the end of the day, Giovani Quenda, 100%. The thing is, when we buy players, right? When we buy players, it's all about it's not all about their technique and how good they are and stuff. A lot of it is sell-on value as well. We bought Pedro Neto for 50 mil. So if he has a really good season and Giovani Quenda's coming in and someone comes in with like a 70 mil bid for him, a la Nicholas Jackson to Munich when that eventually goes through, maybe it's a possibility. But at the same time, I just think it's important to have a few experienced players around the club at the moment. So do I like the look of Giovani Quenda? Absolutely. He looks brilliant. And if you haven't checked him out, go and check out some YouTube highlight reels and stuff. He looks like a real baller at a young age. Another Esteval style level of confidence for such a young player. Do you know what I mean? Really, really, really good. Am I going to get overexcited about him coming in? No, because it might end up just being another one of those where we sell him on for massive profit, because at the end of the day, he's a Chelsea player one way or the other right now. So if there's no room if there's no room at the inn for him, do you know what I mean, by the time he finishes up in Portugal by the end of this season, then chances are he could be sold for huge profit, and obviously we love that as well. So I'm not going to get excited about Giovani Quenda until I start seeing some sort of reporting or something come out from Maresca being like he's in my plans next season or whatever. At the moment, you know, I've seen it too many times where we've had young players out on loan, and you know, Jordi Petrovic was one, for instance. He had a great season out at Strasbourg, but we ended up selling him. So I'm reserving my excitement for Giovani Quenda because we've got lots of left-footed right wingers already. I really like Pedro Neto. I really like Esteval Willian, and I just my heart can't take it, man. If I get excited about Quenda and he doesn't end up coming in or he ends up getting sold, it's just going to be disappointment. So I will continue to watch his development with aplomb and interest, of course, but at the same time, going to take my time in getting super excited about him coming into the team. So who I think it might be okay to get excited about is Emanuel Emegha, the vertical menace, who currently plies his trade at Strasbourg, right? So this is one of the stories that was floating in and around the news over the transfer window. Like I said, it was kind of evident that it wasn't going to come to Chelsea straight away. So ultimately, I reserved talking about him until things had calmed down a little bit because there was a lot to talk about. But right now, more stories are starting to surface and stuff. So supposedly Chelsea have a pre-contract agreement of 6 years until 2031 with 6'5", 22-year-old Dutch striker Emanuel Emegha of Strasbourg. This guy looks like a bit of a beast, man. I'm not going to lie. So, like, who is he? What does he do? Okay, so obviously he's a very, very tall striker, 6'5". He scored 14 goals and got 3 assists in Liga last season for Strasbourg and has been given the captain's armband. So, obviously, Andre Santos wore that a lot last season, and with him going out, they've given it straight to Emegha. So, the kid looks really, really good, man. I'm not going to lie. Stylistically, what's he like? Is he a Liam Delap? Is he a João Pedro? Neither. He looks to be actually more in the mould of Nicholas Jackson, albeit much, much, much taller, right? So his skill set definitely, like, he isn't as much of like a deep thinky playmaker as João Pedro is, and he isn't as much of a big upfront flat track bully like Liam Delap could be. He definitely offers, you know, he's drifting wide. He's really, really good at transition. Very, very fast player for someone so tall as well. So it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting because this agreement was already in place before the Liam Delap injury came in. So what that tells you is that they are thinking long term. And I guess also that kind of backs up why we recalled Mark Gue rather than go in for another striker. I know there was some talk about Conrad Harder, but it never seemed super serious. Because if they back this guy to come straight into the team, then buying another player right now, as much I've spoken about with getting a goalkeeper in the face of Mike Penders coming in, then Emegha looks like he could be prone to come into the squad at the end of the season and maybe get straight into the team depending on the situation. So I really like the look of him, man. I really like the look of him. He looks like a bit of a baller, to be honest. He's a massive guy, and like I say, getting the striker's armband at 22 years old in a European first team is really, really good. Obviously, it did a lot of good for Andre Santos as well. And it potentially is just another good thing about the Strasbourg connection, right? The multi-club model. You know, he's not on loan or whatever. He's not taking up, you know, loads of thought space in the fan base's head or whatever. But we can watch him with interest this season because if he's got this agreement to come to Chelsea and he goes out and scores nearly 20 goals this season, exciting. I mean, really, really, really exciting. So, look, what this is all about is like, some people were really disappointed that we didn't go in for a striker when Liam Delap got injured, and do you know what I mean, there were spots that still needed filling in the squad and stuff. This is kind of what I've been talking about for a while. I think we're playing a long game. Do you know what I mean? We're really, really about that long-term kind of building rather than these short-term fixes right now. Do you know what? If we were like in a situation where we were absolutely looking ready to challenge for the league, like a la Liverpool or, an Arsenal or something, and then maybe we're going to go in and buy a couple of these quick fixes to help us get over the line. But we're not so far away from it, but we are far enough away from that right now, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of the owners as well, that those quick fixes aren't necessarily going to be worth the money, because even with some of these quick fixes, we're not 100% ready to go out and do it. We've got really, really good players that are starting to make up the spine of the team, with your Cucureas, your Caicedos, your Cole Palmers, now your João Pedros and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But there are still lots of question marks about other spots in the team, right? So it's just one of those, isn't it? It's just one of those. They are looking for the long term. Players like Emegha 100% fall into that, because if we get Emegha, if he goes and has a great season at Strasbourg, and we can bring him in at a discounted rate of 20 to 30 million euros, or 20 million pounds, something like that, that's going to be a lot better than going out and getting a Conrad Harder for 50, 60 mil because we needed to get a striker in at the last minute. Do you know what I mean? I do respect the long game that Blue Co are going for, and I am a fan. If I'm honest, I am a fan. So that's it for the potential incomings. Now, in the much shorter term, in the very, very foreseeable future, there might still be an answer for Axel Disasi, right? Axel Disasi is in the bomb squad along with Raheem Sterling and David Datro Fofana. That is a much smaller bomb squad than it used to be, and it's also a bomb squad that isn't as much of a worry as it used to be. There are players in there. Do you remember Trevor Chalobah was in it at some point, Ben Chilwell was in it at some point, and those were players that were in there that we kind of weren't really comfortable with and happy with. Obviously, Chalobah's made his way into the team, and Chili's found his way out to Strasbourg, so that's gone really well. Raheem Sterling, he's just going to wait around until he can get some sort of move, and he might just see out his contract at this rate. David Datro Fofana was one of the first young strikers that we bought, and just, he's had a couple of all right loans and stuff. He did okay at Burnley, but just no one seems interested enough to come in for him. And Axel Disasi is really the big one, right? Because he actually played quite a lot for Chelsea, and it wasn't shocking, but it was a little bit of a surprise when we loaned him to Aston Villa at the back end of last season. So it is possible that Besiktas of Turkey are going to come in and rescue us from our nightmare, which is cool, man. I'm totally up for that. I don't hate Axel Disasi, right? As a character, I actually think he's great. Like, I like his way about him. I've watched him in some of the, the Chelsea videos when they do interviews and they do like fun things together, like cooking and this and that and the other. He's a funny guy. He's got great personality. He reminds me a little bit of David Luiz. Unfortunately, he is just a little bit too worrying on the pitch, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like he can be good in the right-sided centre-back position sometimes, but also he'll give away free kicks. He'll score own goals. All of the bad things that David Luiz used to do, but without all of the good things that David Luiz used to do as well. Do you know what I mean? So maybe Besiktas can come and rescue us from Axel Disasi, because their window is still open for another 4 days, right? This is, Saudi Arabia and Turkey are open till like the 10th, 11th of September. So that isn't a huge worry in itself, because honestly, Disasi to somewhere like Besiktas just makes sense, doesn't it? There's good players out there, man, and Turkish fans are really, really, really into their football as well. That is absolutely true. He'll be well looked after. He'll get a good pay packet, and maybe if it's a loan, he'll still be able to come back and, he really wanted to go back to Monaco, for instance, so maybe that sort of makes sense. Maybe he could go out to Besiktas for the rest of the season, and Monaco can come in for him at some point, depending on what goes on with them. So, let me know what you're thinking about all of this in the comments, guys. Are you excited about Giovani Quenda? Should I be more excited about Giovani Quenda, or do you think I'm right to kind of hold off a little bit until we see what's going on in the team that we've got? Emegha, what do you think about Emegha? Do you think that that's the kind of striker that we need? Do you think that if Liam Delap comes back, we're just going to have enough? Or do you think we should just go in on Mark Yu and give him the shot, man? Absolutely see what goes on with him. There is one small irritating piece of news to report on that I've left until the end, and it's about Dario Azugo. So he has an unspecified injury that he's picked up on international duty, also playing for Portugal's under-21s along with Giovani Quenda. The annoying thing about unspecified injuries is they're either so bad that straight away that they're going to have you out for ages, or they're not bad and it's like, yeah, you might be out for 5 days, couple of weeks or whatever. With an unspecified injury, that means that, it could be a really, really long time, or it might not be. That's really irritating. because what it looked like we had going into this season was loads of midfield depth, and all of our depth is getting whittled away by these injuries, man. Levi Colwill, Liam Delap, and now Dario Asugo, right? It is just getting a little bit worrying with all of these injuries. And this is an interesting one because Dario Asugo hasn't necessarily played loads of football either. And because it's an unspecified injury, we can't even speculate as to whether it was because of playing lots of football, or whether it was like Liam Delap, where it was just a bit unlucky because of a hamstring injury and stuff. It makes me even more worried about tonight's game against Andorra for England, because Reece James is probably going to start that game, and I shouldn't say it because maybe I'll manifest it, and the hoodoo, we're all scared of the hoodoo, aren't we? And maybe this is my fault if it happens. But I am just getting a little bit worried that Reece James might come out of this international break with an injury. We've seen this kind of thing before so many times where players go away on international breaks, and we're seeing it right now with Dario Asugo, and they get injured. You know what I mean? So I am a little bit worried about that one, but we've still got Andre Santos at the end of the day. Romeo Lavia supposedly is quite close to a return as well. We might see him at the Brighton game at the end of the month, so that's promising. Do you know what I mean? But the thing with Romeo Lavia is he's not just going to be able to come in and play all the time because of these injuries he keeps having. Do you know what I mean? So injuries, man. Injuries. It's going to be one of them seasons, isn't it? But I think it's going to be one of them seasons for everyone. So, it's not necessarily going to be like where Chelsea are suffering the most because of all of our injuries. It does look like the injuries across the board seem to be popping up all over the place. And while nobody wants to see that, at least if that is the case, it keeps the playing field a little bit more level, right? Because everyone will struggle and everyone will have to make concessions and put people in positions that they don't want to, and it won't just be Chelsea. So, guys, I'm going to wrap it up right there. As I said, the England game is on tonight. I will be watching that with great interest just to see if Reece James plays and if he makes it through the 90 minutes. I'm a little bit worried about it, but it will be what it will be. And we've got Malagusto. Oh, dear, we've got Malagusto. I'm just going to leave it there, man. Nice one, guys. I'm going to wrap the video up. I hope you're all having an absolutely wicked day. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, man. I'm so close to that 1,000 subs. I can taste it, and it tastes good. Nice one, guys. I hope you're all having an absolutely wicked day, and I'll catch up with you very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.